Welcome back to Gotcha Interact. Today we're going to be talking about a new character that's coming out pretty soon in Star Rail, and that is Sunday. Now, originally we didn't even know if he was playable, but it looks like we're actually getting his kit leaks now that we know he's most likely going to be playable here. And with these kit leaks, it definitely looks like he's going to be here pretty soon while at that. So let's go ahead and talk about his skills, then we'll talk about some other parts of his kit, and we'll just kind of go on our personal thoughts on what he's going to probably do. And also, feel free to let us know down in the comments what you guys are looking forward for him, maybe some teams, some ideas of what he could do for your account. So let's go ahead and talk about his skills. His basic attack is going to just deal your normal 130% of your attack of Sunday's attack to one designated enemy in imaginary damage. Pretty normal for a basic attack. With his skill, though, it states that it causes one designated ally character and their summon immediately to take action. It also increases their damage dealt by 50%. These are all going to be level 10 on their talents, and obviously the basic attack was at level 6. If the target has a summon, damage dealt additionally also increases by 20%. So if the target has a summon already with them, then it's even more damage. This effect also lasts for 2 turns. When Sunday uses this skill on characters following the Path of Harmony, the immediately taken action effect cannot be triggered. Now looking beyond the base attack and the skill, Rift, can you let us know a little bit about Sunday's ultimate?
Yeah, so looking right at his ultimate, it is a 130 energy cost ultimate, and what it does is it's going to regenerate energy equal to 20% max energy for one designated ally, and makes them and their summon go into this state called the Beautified. So this Beautified state is going to increase the crit damage of the character by 32.5% of Sunday's crit damage plus 8.8%. Also, you will reduce the duration of the Beautified by 1 at the start of Sunday's turn. And the effect lasts for 3 turns. So it does have a nice uptime with that being said. Now the effect does last for 3 turns, so it has a pretty nice uptime. But do note that it is only effective on the most recent character. So if you do decide to use Sunday's ult on another character, then it will, reset to that character only. It's not like you can start stacking this on multiple characters. That would probably be too goated. Also, you can apply this effect to Sunday himself. And when Sunday does become down, the Beautified effect on whatever character it's on will also be dispelled.
Looking a little bit beyond the ultimate, the talent states that when using the skill, the target's crit rate that you're going to be put, obviously going back into the skill, when you're going to immediately choose a specific character. The talent alongside of that is going to state that, or one of the talents states that when using the skill, the target's crit rate will increase by 25% for 2 turns. So another great thing to see for that is adding crit rate, and then obviously in the burst or the ultimate, we get to see a lot more crit rate. So it's a great crit rate and crit damage kind of coincided together at least a little bit here. Now the traces, it looks like his stats are going to go into crit damage, which obviously he's kind of like Sparkle in that sense. You want to have more crit damage to then give more crit damage to other players. His effect resistance is also going to be increased. Very nice, because you want to make sure that he's always up to either use his skill or his ultimate. You don't want him to have an effect on him, especially being downed or something like that, or in a point where he can't go for a long time. And then he's also going to go into defense, hopefully make him a little bit tankier as a character. There are some other extra things with his traces that he's going to get. One of them is when he uses his skill, it will not consume skill points. And this effect can be triggered again after 2 turns. So it looks like he only gets this one every 3 turns, it looks like. So he gets to not use it once. And his next 2 turns, he basically doesn't have the ability to use this again. So it allows him to be, even though he doesn't give, skill points, kind of like Sparkle or kind of something like that, he does have the ability to be a little bit more skill point efficient for teams. Also, in another one of his traces, it states at the start of the battle, Sunday immediately regenerates 25 energy. Another great thing to get that burst back, or that ultimate back, especially at 130 energy cost. And the last one states that when using the skill, it dispels 1 debuff from the target that you put it on. Using the skill, most likely talking about specifically the ally that you put it on. So, Rift, from everything you're seeing here, I think I've already talked about it a little bit, but for me, I'm looking at like a Sparkle kind of newer character, if you will. What are your thoughts on Sunday as an overall character? What are some characters that you're thinking pair well with him? What are some team ideas? In general, how good is he?
Well, first of all, I think just for kind of a TLDR, for better understanding, for people that maybe just are kind of confused right now. This seems like a sparkle mixed with kind of a Hua Hua, because you have the energy restoration in the ultimate that's reminding me of Hua Hua, but you also have this crit damage increase, much like Sparkle, Baronia. Then you also have this crit rate increase. So with Sunday, you're just giving all of these different stats, all these damage stats, the crit, you know, obviously most DPSs in the game really like that, and I think this is going to be very versatile just as a Harmony unit. Harmony units are just really good as it stands. In a game like Star Rail, Harmony units, especially if you're looking for higher investment, whatever the team may be, you're at some point looking for some kind of Harmony unit, whether it's Ron May, Sparkle, Robin, and now we have Sunday coming out. So because Sunday just seems so versatile and just high value in general as a character, I think he's just going to be a good pull overall for really any account, no matter what that may look like. The other thing I really think is interesting, though, and we kind of saw that in the skill, Vixen, you were talking about that, is that he's advancing forward character, increasing damage dealt, and I just find that very interesting because we really haven't seen a character that specifically works indirectly with another character's summons. Usually it's always just been the character themselves, like Topaz, for example. Topaz advances Numby. No one else can advance Numby except from like indirect other follow-up attacks that are just happening. So you do have that, but we have a character here that can just do that with any summon. Like you can use Sunday here to advance forward Jing Yuan's Lightning Lord, let's just say, or Lingsha's Bunny, right? So it's just kind of a cool thing to think about. How might that actually affect certain team builds?
Yeah, it's actually very interesting you brought up Jing Yuan, because a lot of, at least from what I've seen, I think Jing Yuan, I'm not necessarily saying that he's going to create a new meta, and if he does, awesome, and he might, but I think overall, this is really good. And like you were talking about, bringing forward the Lightning Lord is going to allow Jing Yuan actually to be a pretty solid character again. And so I'm interested to see a team of Sunday, Jing Yuan, characters like Jade, for instance, especially with the multiple hits that you can get out of that, and throwing in a character like Lingsha. Now, I know Lingsha is mainly meant for, break specific teams and stuff like that, and I'm not saying that this stuff is going to be, perfect. I'm just trying to think of quirky, fun teams that might do kind of well, especially for stuff for a lot of enemies all at once. It could trigger a lot of extra hits for other characters like Jade. So I'm just trying to get Jade basically off of a Herta team for once. So I think this allows maybe Jing Yuan to have a pretty cool character that actually might allow him to be good again. So, and I know we're both Alejandro Saab fans. So to see this, to kind of see it as a great idea here, I'm actually really interested to see what can come out of this. An older character kind of get a spotlight again, if you will. And never mind some other characters that could work pretty well with him as well. I'm sure there are plenty of other characters in the future that'll do great as well. So I'm just super excited to see what he could bring to the table. Regular DPS characters are probably going to love him, especially crit specific characters. I'm sure people are going to try to allow certain, characters to kind of try new special things. Once again, like you were talking about, Topaz is another interesting idea, considering, like you were talking about, she's the only one who can bring Numby forward, so does that allow something? You have Lingsha with her bunnies being brought forward, and, I mean, Rift, you have Lingsha and her light cone. I mean, the damage isn't necessarily terrible either, especially when you start talking about, fire break and all that. So
the whole thing I like about it is the fact that, and we've already been talking about this, but you're getting a 50% damage increase from Sunday skill, which is that's pretty on par with the other Harmony units. But if the target has a summon, you're getting another 50%. And so now you're just dealing basically double damage. That's a very big increase. So like we have been talking about this, just to kind of put it into perspective, if you guys have a character with a summon, if you guys have a Topaz or you use someone's Topaz, you typically see anywhere 60 to 70k. I mean, that thing's going to be dealing like 140 now. Jing Yuan is going to be dealing double whatever he's doing. Any character with the summon is getting a lot of use out of this. And the reason I kind of bring that up is to it makes me think of what are we looking forward to just in 3.x in general? What's going to be the new meta? We've already seen a lot of follow-up stuff very recently. We had Break a lot at the beginning of Penacony. We're seeing even another character in Rappa coming out. So we have break and follow up as pretty, obvious, things that we see and little niches to fill. What's going to be the next thing? And so that's kind of just, I guess, a question I might ask you, Vixen. What do you think are the possibilities with a character like Sunday? Because I think, me personally, I think they're going to be doing something where it's a lot of summon focuses. And yes, we might have already been seeing that in certain characters, but I mean like really specking into that.
I actually totally agree. I mean, we're seeing a lot of other things come into the future of a lot of summons. Topaz and Numby originally kind of started it out. I mean, yes, I understand that there are other characters that have done it in the past, namely Jing Yuan. But I think the biggest thing to think about here is what we're gonna, like you're saying, what we're gonna see in the future. Lingsha is very stuck to the break teams. So overall, she can and does work well outside of them as just an amazing abundance user in general. I mean, usually Lingsha most of the time is gonna be stuck to that specific team. That being said, Lingsha can also work outside of it with, once again, a character like Jade for pure fiction, especially if there's a lot of fire weakness and whatnot, and you don't have Firefly or something like that, allowing that team to work really well, and some other, just combined characters to just hit enemies all at once. I really just think overall it's going to allow more interesting ideas. I've always wondered what they really could do. We've had the follow-up attack meta that's kind of now washed over. It's not saying it's washed up. I just mean like it's now here kind of idea. We've had Fei Xiao. We've had, once again, Topaz and Numby kind of started this. Dr. Ratio came into effect as well. Even kind of that idea as well. We've got even more characters. We even have supports that are specking into it. Characters like Aventurine. Obviously, even 4-star characters like Moza and March 7th. And then obviously Jade. The follow-up tech meta has come through. Before that was the break, or after and before, whatever. Now, especially with Rappa coming in, more break effect. I think like you're talking about, whenever we talked about follow-up attack in the past, actually, Rift, I remember you saying it's not about you, even sometimes in pure fiction, it's sometimes not even about hitting a bunch of enemies all at one time. It can be, and that's usually how it's going to work out best. But sometimes if you can just have follow-up attacks happening so consistently, even if it doesn't hit all enemies at one time, that can be extremely helpful in characters like Jade, allowing them to hit all enemies at one time and allowing her to kind of take a clean sweep of the board for you. So I think overall, seeing more summons allows for more of maybe a splinter off of a normal follow-up attack meta that we're seeing right now, and allows us to kind of play a little bit differently. Kind of like how, Boot Hill is our hunt specific, break character. Rappa is the idea of like AoE, so you're going to see her better in those types of pure fiction modes. And Firefly is the in-between. In the past, we've had someone like Topaz and Numby, our hunt character. Jade, our kind of AoE character. And now we have the idea of a follow-up attack unit, quote-unquote, with Sunday allowing just a bunch more of consistency that allows even summons to be brought forward, which is allowing those attacks to happen even more. So maybe those teams that weren't doing exceptionally well can just be brought to a new level. Never mind new characters that are brought into play with other type of, summons that they could bring to the table.
Right. I think the main takeaway with Sunday, he's very versatile. I think he's going to help pretty much all teams. You're getting the energy restoration, you're increasing crit rate and damage. So he's doing just a lot for virtually any team, right? But once again, talking about this, summon thing. Yes, we see a lot of characters that already have this. I think the point for me, at least, is that when we look at the best DPSs in the game, like Acheron, Fei Xiao, Firefly, Boot Hill, none of those characters have a summon. So maybe we will see DPS type characters that actually use a summon to dish out most of the damage, because the best characters we have for that are Jing Yuan and Topaz. Jing Yuan being a DPS, but he's not your best option. He's not terrible, but he's not your best option if we're being honest. And Topaz is a little bit more of a specialty type of unit.
Yeah, and I think like you're talking about, there's so much in his kit. I think overall, like you're talking about, the crit rate, the crit damage, I mean, the energy restoration, that idea you brought with Huahua really helps and can bring even more kind of wideness to his use. I mean, we've seen with the Harmony units, like you were talking about, bring almost a new meta into play, but sometimes they just make the already strong characters, or even just okay characters, up to a new level. So characters even like Argenti that love a lot of energy help. Tingyun is great, and I'm sure you really like Tingyun, Rift, here, because you love your Argenti. This might allow Tingyun, the old Tingyun, to have a kind of a buff here. We have a 5-star unit that helps energy and helps with crit rate, crit damage, and, you know, is just a really solid support. So, and brings characters forward. Characters like Jing Yuan, for instance, who love to get their energy back for her burst, so she can have that, her ultimate, so she can have that back on rotation. There's so many characters that I think the energy is so helpful for as well. Every single part of his kit as a Harmony unit goes above and beyond what we would really even need sometimes. So to see how he's going to help so many characters, I think is very, very interesting personally for me.
Yeah, I think for the Argenti, I think the Argenti best team now is going to be using Argenti, the 4-star Ting Yun, Sunday, and Hua Hua, because all three of those characters are providing energy. Now, if you're getting energy overload and you're just like, okay, that's just way more than I actually need, okay, maybe replace 4-star Ting Yun with the Sparkle again. And so you have 2 cracked Harmony units and your Sustain. He's also providing attack. Like, Argenti is somewhat okay just because he has really easy and good teammates, and they just really synergize. Not that other characters don't. It's just like, he really likes those, and it works really well when you put those puzzle pieces together. So I think that's a good point to bring up about Sunday here.
Now that we've already looked at the character, we want to take a really quick peek at his 5-star Harmony Light Cone Ungrounded Ascent. So this is going to mainly focus on with the superimposition. I believe this, I'm going to talk about it at S1. I'm going to try to on how it looks. So it states that after the wearer uses a skill or an ultimate on one ally character, the wearer regenerates 6 energy and the target receives 1 stack of him for 2 turns, and this stacks up to 3 times. Every stack increases the damage dealt by 15%. After every 2 uses of the wearer's skill or ultimate on one ally character, recover 1 skill point. As we saw earlier, he already is skill point kind of friendly by allowing himself to basically every 3rd time he uses his skill, he doesn't have to use one of his skill points or one of the team's skill points. This just allows every 2 usages. So if you use your skill once and then you use it again, that allows for the 3rd time now to just give you a skill point back, which is also making it free. So very interesting to see that he's going to become, I'm not sure if that's, that sounds pretty positive to me, skill point positive to me. So
yeah.
It seems like an extremely good light cone. I'm trying to think of other characters it could be good for. I'm sure that we could try to throw in Sparkle in this because of using a skill on an ally character is going to help energy, give back energy to the character, as well as, give back, extra skill points. Obviously, her light cone's going to be better, but I'm just trying to think of other characters. Normally, it's very difficult to.
Yeah, for sure.
But
it's just that the more and more we look into how Sunday's designed and how he's supposed to work, I'm just like, okay, it's just Sparkle, Hua Hua. 1 character, boom.
Yeah,
that's just what it is.
A great light cone and a great character. I think we're both extremely excited to see what he's gonna have to offer. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about the new Ting Yun. So if you guys want to go ahead and look out for that, there you go. Also, if you guys want to, please go ahead and like and subscribe if you guys did like the video. Also, check out our Discord as well, where we talk about a lot of Genshin stuff, as well as Star Rail as well. So take a peek over there and some other Hoyoverse games too. So if you guys did like the video, once again, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching the video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.